Welcome back, my friend. I'm so glad you're here because today we're slowing down. We're listening to the rhythm of a rainy day and finding the kind of English that lives in real moments. You'll hear the sounds of water, the voices of people, and the quiet thoughts that come when the sky turns gray. This isn't just about learning English, it's about feeling it. The way you feel the rain on your skin or the warmth of a cup of coffee between your hands. By the end of today's story, you'll learn how to speak about weather, daily moods, and simple yet emotional conversations that happen on quiet afternoons. But more than that, you'll learn how language connects to your heart. Because every drop of rain is a reminder. Growth happens slowly. Drop by drop. Even when the sky is heavy, you are still becoming fluent, still growing, still learning. So take a deep breath. Let's begin. Sound of thunder rolling softly in the distance. It was a late afternoon in the city. The streets shimmered like silver ribbons under the rain. People hurried by, umbrellas bumping into each other, shoes splashing through puddles. Inside a small cafe by the corner, Emma sat near the window, her notebook open, a cup of tea cooling beside her. She whispered to herself, "What a rainy day." The words felt simple, but they carried a quiet beauty. Outside, a man was struggling with his umbrella. The wind turned it inside out, and he laughed, embarrassed. Emma smiled. She wrote in her notebook, "Umbrella turned inside out. A little disaster." She often practiced English this way, by noticing life around her, writing it down and describing it in her own words. A waiter passed by and asked, "Would you like another cup of tea?" His tone was polite, gentle, the kind of English used in everyday life. Emma replied, "Yes, please. And could I have it with lemon this time?" Her voice sounded confident now, though a year ago, she could barely order food in English. As the waiter walked away, she listened carefully to the soft clink of cups, the hiss of the coffee machine, and the steady patter of rain. Each sound was like music, and every word around her was a note in that melody. Pause. Soft music continues. On the street outside, a child jumped into a puddle. His mother shouted, "Oh no, look at your shoes." The boy just laughed. Emma wrote again in her notebook, "Look at your shoes." Expression of surprise or disapproval. She didn't study English from textbooks that day. She studied it from life, from people, from emotion. The rain grew stronger. The sky darkened. But the cafe felt warm and safe. Emma closed her notebook and stared out the window. Ting. The lights of passing cars reflected in the puddles, red, yellow, white, like moving stars on the ground. A man sat down at the table beside her. He looked tired, his jacket wet from the rain. He gave a polite smile and said, "Crazy weather, isn't it?" Emma smiled back. "Yes. It's been raining all day." He chuckled. "I forgot my umbrella." Typical me. In that small moment, a simple, everyday exchange, Emma realized something powerful. She was living in English now, not studying it, not memorizing, living it. Pause. Tone softens. Outside the rain softened too. Drops still fell, but slower now. Like the sky was taking a breath. Emma took out her phone and wrote a short message to her best friend back home. "It's raining, but it feels peaceful. I talked to someone in English today, just a few words, but it felt real." She hesitated before pressing send, then smiled and typed another sentence. "I think I'm finally getting it." The phone screen glowed softly on her face, and behind her the city lights blurred through the raindrops on the glass. That night, The rain kept falling, but inside her something had cleared. The fear of making mistakes, the worry about sounding perfect, it all began to wash away. Soft music fades with rain sound, because sometimes the best English lesson doesn't come from a classroom. It comes from a rainy day, a stranger's smile, and a simple sentence. Crazy weather, isn't it? The rain had slowed to a soft drizzle when Emma left the cafe. The air smelled clean, a mix of wet leaves, rain-soaked earth, and the faint sweetness of fresh bread from a nearby bakery. She pulled her hood over her head and stepped out into the night. The streetlights glowed gold against the damp road. Each puddle mirrored the world. The sky above, the passing cars, her own face looking down. She whispered softly, "It's beautiful." Those two words, simple as they were, held emotion. It's beautiful. A phrase she'd once practiced again and again, but tonight it came naturally. That's the magic of English, when it stops being grammar and becomes feeling. As she walked, she thought about what the man at the cafe had said. Crazy weather, isn't it? That kind of small talk once scared her. She used to freeze when strangers spoke, afraid her English wouldn't be good enough. But tonight, something changed. She realized small talk isn't about perfect words. It's about connection. It's about being human. Sound of distant car passing by. She passed by a bookstore, its windows fogged up. Inside, a woman was rearranging books, humming quietly. On the glass, someone had written with their finger, "Stay cozy." Emma smiled. That little phrase, "stay cozy," was new to her. It meant stay warm, stay comfortable, take care of yourself. She repeated it softly, tasting the words, "stay cozy." The street was quiet now. Drops from rooftops fell rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Her footsteps echoed softly as she crossed a small bridge over the canal. She stopped halfway and leaned on the railing, looking down at the ripples of rain touching the water. The reflection of city lights danced like fireflies. And then, she remembered her first week in this city. Lost, cold, lonely. She barely spoke to anyone. The rain back then felt heavier, like it was laughing at her mistakes. She whispered to herself, "I couldn't even ask for directions properly." She smiled now, not with shame, but pride, because she had kept going. That's what growth looks like. Not instant, not perfect. It's quiet, patient, like rain nourishing the soil you can't see. Pause. Soft piano enters. She took out her phone again and opened her voice notes. She'd started recording her thoughts in English, a kind of journal. "It's raining lightly tonight," she said softly. "The city looks peaceful. I'm walking home, and I feel grateful." She paused, her breath visible in the cool air. Learning English used to feel like climbing a mountain. But maybe it's more like walking through the rain. Slow, a little messy, but beautiful if you just keep moving. Her voice trembled slightly as she finished the recording. She closed her phone and tucked it in her pocket. As she turned the corner toward her street, she saw an old man standing under a street lamp, holding a small paper bag above his head, like a makeshift umbrella. He looked at her and smiled. "Rain again, huh?" he said. Emma laughed. "Yes, seems like it doesn't want to stop." He grinned. "Ah, but that's life. Sometimes it pours, sometimes it shines." She nodded slowly. "You're right." The old man crossed the street, leaving her with those words, simple, wise, and comforting. She whispered them to herself. Sometimes it pours, sometimes it shines. Another phrase to keep, another lesson, not just in English, but in life. Rain grows softer, footsteps continue. When she reached her apartment, she paused before unlocking the door. Her reflection in the glass looked calm, peaceful, almost proud. She realized she hadn't checked her phone once for translations that night. Every word, every thought, had come from her own heart. She stepped inside, hung her coat, and made herself a cup of tea. The kettle whistled softly. Steam rose into the air like morning fog. She sat by the window again, looking out at the quiet street below. The rain had almost stopped now, but droplets still lingered on the glass, tiny reminders of the evening's rhythm. Emma smiled and whispered one more time, "Stay cozy." Outside, a single drop slid down the window, tracing a slow silver line, as if carrying the memory of everything that had just happened. When Emma woke the next morning, the rain had stopped. The world outside her window glowed fresh and clean, washed by the night's storm. Sunlight spilled over the rooftops, golden and soft. The air was cool, the kind of air that carries quiet promises. She opened the window slightly and listened. The soft drip of water from the eaves, a dog barking far away, a neighbor humming while hanging laundry. It felt peaceful, like the world had taken a deep breath. She poured herself a cup of tea and sat by the window, the same spot where she had watched the rain the day before. The street looked different now. No puddles, no rushing people, just calm. She took her notebook and opened it to a clean page. At the top, she wrote, "After the rain, gentle piano melody begins." Then she started writing in English. Slowly, carefully, but confidently. "Yesterday it rained all day. I met kind people. I listened to the city. I spoke English without fear." Her handwriting was uneven, her grammar not perfect, but the feeling behind the words was alive. She had learned something far more important than vocabulary. She had learned that English isn't just a language, it's a bridge between her world and others, between her thoughts and the hearts of strangers. Pause. The sound of paper turning. She looked around her small apartment, books stacked by the bed, a plant growing by the window, her umbrella drying by the door. Each little thing told a story of her growth. She whispered softly to herself, "I used to be afraid of speaking, but not anymore." She smiled and repeated the words, louder this time, practicing her pronunciation. "Not anymore." That's a phrase she'd heard in a movie once. It means you've moved past something. Fear, doubt, or pain. It means you've grown. Soft breeze sound as if window curtains move. Emma thought of her family far away, her best friend who used to encourage her to keep going, and the strangers who had unknowingly become her teachers. The man at the cafe, the old man under the streetlight, even the boy who jumped in puddles. Each of them had given her something, a word, a smile, a phrase that carried meaning. She realized then English learning isn't about how many words you know. It's about what you do with the words you already have. It's about courage, about showing up to every conversation, even when it rains. Piano fades into a hopeful string note. As she walked to the bus stop later that morning, she noticed how clear the sky was. A few clouds still floated lazily, but the blue was bright and endless. A woman standing next to her looked up too and said, "Beautiful day, isn't it?" Emma smiled, recognizing the rhythm of the phrase. Another classic piece of English small talk. Yes, she said softly. It's a beautiful day. They both smiled. And for a brief second, no rain, no barrier, just connection. When the bus arrived, Emma took a seat by the window. The city passed by. Clean streets, sunlight on rooftops, and the quiet sparkle of morning life. She opened her phone again and recorded one final note. The rain taught me something. Every drop matters. Every word I speak, even small ones, helps me grow. So if you're learning like me, don't be afraid. Speak, listen, feel the language, because one day you'll realize you're already living in it. Soft pause. Sound of bus engine fading into distance. That's how real learning happens. Not in a rush, but moment by moment. Not from perfection, but from presence. Emma closed her eyes and let the sunlight warm her face. The bus rocked gently. The city moved around her, and she smiled quietly. In her mind, she whispered the phrase once more. Stay cozy. A phrase born from a rainy night, now carrying the warmth of a new morning. Music swells gently, then fades to silence. Voiceover. Gentle, encouraging tone. So my friend, as you listen to this, remember every word you practice brings you closer to fluency. Every small step counts. Even on rainy days, keep speaking, keep learning, keep shining. If this story warmed your heart, I invite you to stay with us for more stories that help you feel English, not just learn it. Subscribe, share your thoughts, and tell me in the comments, where are you listening from, and what time is it right now?